Welcome to All Saint Catholic School e-learning. The big idea we will be exploring today is the conditional tense for all verbs in French. As you're aware, in French, there are three types of verbs: ER verbs, IR verbs, and RE verbs. Today, we are going to look at how to form the conditional tense using all these three different verbs. For this session, you will need to have watched the big idea on the conditional tense for all the verbs, and then before we begin this session, please try to find a quiet place where you can focus and aim to have a pen and paper so that you can note down your ideas. By the end of this video, you will have first recalled how to form the conditional tense for all verbs in French. Number 2, looked at some example of answers using the conditional tense. And finally, analyze some answers in the 16 marker and 32 marker question. In order to make sure that you have understood the conditional tense, let's start with a quick activity on the following. There are different statements. Out of those 5 statements, only 3 statements are true. Which one are they? To make sure that we understand how the conditional is formed, let's look at this second activity. In question 1 to 5, there are 5 different mistakes. In each sentence, there is one mistake. Now, take a look at number 1 to 5 and spot those mistakes, and once you're done, write down the correct answers. Now, let's look at the correction of those mistakes in those sentences. The first one: à l'avenir, j'aimerais travailler à Hollywood. As we can see, j'aimerais ends with a T, and this is the mistake, and the correct answer should have been j'aimerais ending with an S. On number 2, on aimerait manger plus de fruits et des légumes pour rester en forme shows that aimerait is the mistake because on aimerait ends with an S here, and the correct answer should have been aimerait ending with a T. On number 3, le week-end prochain, on voudrait aller au cinéma. This shows that the word aller is the mistake because remember, after voudrait and aimerait, you need an infinitive. Therefore, the answer is on voudrait aller au cinéma. On number 4, on n'aimerait pas faire un barbecue la semaine prochaine shows that when we are doing the negative, we need 2 parts, ne and pas, which are formed around the first verb. But here, the ne is missing. Therefore, the correct answer is on n'aimerait pas faire un barbecue la semaine prochaine. Finally, on number 5, on ne voudrait voyager. Again, we are using the negative. We need the ne and the pas, but here the pas is missing. Therefore, this is a mistake. And the correct answer is on ne voudrait pas voyager pendant la pandémie du coronavirus. Let's have a look at which questions will the conditional tense be useful for. Number 1. The conditional tense will be useful for the writing paper in the 16 marker for both foundation and higher, which can be found at bullet point 4. In the 32 marker for the higher paper, the conditional could be used there, as well as in the writing paper on the translation in both foundation and higher, you will find the conditional. Secondly, the conditional is also used in the speaking exam when we are talking about a photo card for foundation and higher, as well as the conversation for foundation and higher. However, this year you don't have speaking, otherwise you would have needed it for the photo card and the conversation. It is good practice if you can try and use the conditional and practice it in your speaking. For example, if you want to continue with French after your GCSE and learn about A-level content. In the A-levels, you would definitely have a speaking exam and therefore you could use the conditional. Now, let's look at the working out activity of the conditional tense. For that, I have given you a 16 marker question. The question is vos projets d'avenir. From the list, you can see there are 6 sentences. I want you to find out among those 6 sentences which sentence is using the correct tense, that is the conditional, and answering the question. Now that you have had time to look at those sentences and identify which one are in the conditional, let's see number 1. Number 1 reads, à l'avenir, je voudrais terminer mes études et aller à l'université. We can see that they have used voudrait, which is in the conditional tense, followed by the infinitive terminé, therefore this is correct. Number 2. Ensuite, je vais voyager en Espagne pour découvrir une nouvelle culture. We can see that they have used je vais voyager, and if you remember, je vais is used in the present tense, therefore it is not a conditional tense, and this one is incorrect. If we look at number 3, de plus, avec ma sœur, on aimerait ouvrir un petit café près de Madrid, ce serait formidable. In this sentence, we can see that first they have used on aimerait that ends with a T, followed by an infinitive aimerait ouvrir, therefore this is correct, and we can also spot another conditional verb which is ce serait. Therefore this answer is correct. On number 4, on m'a dit que je dois trouver mon partenaire idéal après mes études shows that je dois trouver, they have used the present tense, therefore this is incorrect. Number 5, cependant, je ne voudrais pas me marier de sitôt shows that they have used the conditional with voudrait followed by marier, therefore this one is correct. On number 6, je dirais que j'aimerais travailler dans une banque pour gagner mon propre argent shows that they have used the conditional j'aimerais travailler dans une banque, which shows therefore this is correct. Moving on, let's look at some questions taken from the writing and the speaking exams, and then try to understand what would be good answers for them. Number 1, says décrivez vos projets après le collège. Number 2, comment pourriez-vous rester en forme à l'avenir? Number 3, comment vous voudriez aider une association caritative? And the last one, l'importance de l'argent pour le futur. I have now tabled the questions for you, as you can see, and has given you some sentence starters just to get you going. The first one, I have used après le collège, which I have reused from the question itself. And number 2, I have used à l'avenir, which is a time indicator. Therefore, when you are writing your sentences, you can re-pick words from the question or use time indicators to write some sentences. If you want to stretch and challenge yourself, you can move from the I form, which is je, to the we form, which is on, and include more complex structures. I have now written some sentences for you on those questions. The verbs have been given, they are in bold so that you can spot them easily. Therefore, when you are working these questions and looking at those answers, I want to make sure that you understand how the conditional tense in French is formed and that you can follow the pattern later for any verbs that will be given to you. The last question is a higher question. In this sentence, in the answer, you can see that I have used Si j'avais de l'argent, j'aimerais construire une école en Afrique. This is using a si clause, which shows that it is a complex one. Therefore, if you want to stretch and challenge yourself, you can change the verb in the conditional with je souhaiterais, which means I would wish, or je pourrais, I could, or je devrais, I should, and je préférais, I would prefer. You can also add other complex structures such as intensifiers, très, vraiment, assez, or other complex structures that we have learned in school. You can leave these sentences as they are if you want to be working towards a grade 5 or 6. However, if you want to move on to a grade 8 or 9, I would advise you to add complex structures and use other forms such as moving from the je to the on form, including the negative, and using I would wish, I could, I should, and I would prefer. Good luck. Très bien. Well done. Now you have managed to come towards the end of this video. By this time, you have now understood the conditional tense, how to form the conditional tense, and recall the patterns for the verbs in the conditional tense. Number 2, you have finally considered which question to use the conditional tense with, and you have also practiced how to use the conditional tense in exam question. I hope this has been very useful for you and that you will apply it in your writing in the exam as well in other activities in class. Merci et au revoir.